Hello and welcome to another episode of my Working with Todoist series, and today I want to explain to you a little trick that you can use with Todoist built-in Karma Points system that's going to help you to really learn how many tasks you can do each day. Now the thing is, we are human beings. You are a human being, I'm a human being, and we have a tendency to overestimate what we can actually get done in a day and tend to underestimate what we can get done in a week or even a year or even a decade. Todoist actually has a sneaky little feature that I don't think any other task manager actually has, called their Karma Points. Now, for many, this might seem a little bit gimmicky, and if you're tracking Karma Points and trying to get to enlightenment, maybe it can be a little bit gimmicky. But for those of you who are competitive, if you are a competitive person, it's actually quite a nice feature to have. But from a serious perspective, from a time management and productivity perspective, this feature actually has a really useful purpose, and that is, it tracks how many tasks you are doing each day. It also tells you where each of your tasks are being completed from. So the colors of the lines in these Karma Points actually indicate or actually match the colors that you are using for your projects or time sectors, whichever system you are using. But the most important thing for me, and this is what I use quite often with many of my coaching clients who are using Todoist, is I ask them to show me their Karma Points list, because that's going to tell me how many tasks they're actually doing. Now, if you're not using Todoist completely every day, you're being a bit inconsistent, it's not going to give you the right data. What you want to be doing is tracking your tasks. You don't have to check them off when you've completed the task. You can check them off at the end of the day, but as long as you are checking them off. Now, what I discovered when I looked at mine is that realistically, I'm getting between 10 and 12 tasks done each day. Now, there was an issue on Sunday. I think I must not have opened Todoist. I must have been doing something on Sunday because I didn't complete any according to this. But if you look at my Monday list here, you can actually see that I did 17, which is way more than the rest of the week. So I'm guessing that I actually either checked things off after midnight or I didn't open Todoist on Sunday, which is a bit odd. But anyway, I can't remember. But the thing is, if you look at the rest of the week, I'm doing between 8, 9, 10 tasks a day. And I track my Todoist when I do my weekly planning session, and I notice that this is quite a trend. Quite often, if I'm not working on a specific project, I'm probably doing 12, 13, 14 a day. But when I'm working on a specific project or just 1 or 2 projects, I'm actually only doing less than 10 a day. But it's not about the number. This is about showing you how many tasks you're actually getting done each day. It's not going to lie to you. It's telling you how many tasks you've got. Now, if you think, a day, tracking 1 week is not enough, you can actually switch it to tracking a week and looking back over the last 4 weeks to see how you've been doing. Now, if you look at my 4-week numbers here, I have been pretty much consistent over the last 4 weeks. I can then divide that by 7, and that's going to give me a pretty close average as to how many tasks I can actually get done a day. Now, there's no point in telling yourself, no, I must do 20, I must do 20, but consistently you're not doing 20. You're just fooling yourself, and you don't want to do that when it comes to your productivity and time management. One of the features of the time sector system course is to be able to figure out how many tasks you're doing each week, because that's going to help you when it comes to doing the weekly planning. Because if you know that on average you do 10 tasks a day, that means that your this week folder should not have more than 70 tasks in there. Now, that doesn't include your routines. Now, for me, because my routines are in a separate folder, I know that in my this week folder, because I'm using the time sector system, when I do the weekly planning, if that number is over 35, I've effectively destroyed my week before it's even started. It's not going to happen. I'm going to spend most of the week trying to rejuggle everything just to try and do what I think is absolutely important. The whole purpose of the time sector system is to get you focused on the time that you have available and to help you learn to prioritize, because prioritization is really just an art of being able to identify what is important. But if you start off the week when you're planning the week, knowing that realistically all you can do is 10 to 12 tasks a day, then really, when you've done the weekly plan, if you look at how many tasks you've got ready for next week, if that is above that number, your week is already destroyed. And you've got to go back into your list and just decide, all right, let's get realistic here. How many of these tasks can I do? But it's really, really good for you because it's forcing you to pick the most important tasks. Now, when I'm looking at Karma Points, one of the reasons why you think, well, 10 tasks isn't very many, 12 tasks isn't very many, that's true, but it doesn't take into account everything else that's being thrown at me throughout the day. Because let's be honest, no day is perfect. You can plan a perfect day, but just one email, one phone call, one Slack message, one WhatsApp message can change that day very, very quickly and add 4 or 5 or 6 tasks to your day. Doesn't mean that you have to put those tasks in Todoist, particularly if you're actually doing them immediately. Like my wife will ask me, oh, can you go and do this? And can you go and do that? I'm not going to put that into my task manager. I'll say, oh, I'll go and do that while I'm doing this. So use Karma Points for tracking how many tasks that you want. Because one of the great things about having plans and goals is that you want to try and make them measurable. Todoist, the great thing about Todoist is it gives you an ability to actually track your number of tasks that you're doing per day. Now, this obviously only ever works if you're consistently using Todoist. If you're going at it every 3 or 4 days, just using it as a big long list to overwhelm yourself, then yeah, sure, it's not going to work. So look at Karma Points as a way of tracking what you're doing each day. So then when you do the weekly planning, you've got information that will guide you to being able to plan a reasonable week that is doable and that you will make sure that the right things are getting done. Well, thank you so much for watching this video, and it just remains for me now to wish you all a very, very productive week.